Connecting with people and pleasing them should not be at your expense. Our desire to please others is biological. Our forefathers relied on others for survival. We still desire social approval and connection now, and caring for others provides us with a sense of purpose. However, if we are overly focused on pleasing others, we may overlook our own needs. People-pleasing may be a really harmful way of living, says Deborah Serrani, a professor at Adelphi University and award-winning author of Living with Depression. For folks who like to please others, here's how to set appropriate boundaries. First and foremost, look for yourself. According to Serrani, the problem arises when you put others ahead of yourself and neglect your own needs. Many people-pleasers value themselves based on what they do for others, and they never discover the value of who they are without giving, doing, and pleasing, she says. So, how can you get out of that cycle? Believing that self-care is a requirement, not a luxury, is the first step toward stronger boundaries, says Sherry Pagoto, a PhD, a psychologist, and professor of medicine at the University of Massachusetts Medical School. Pretend you're a Red Cross truck driver providing food and water to disaster victims. If you are in such a hurry to help every single victim that you don't stop once in a while to refuel the truck, eventually you will be stalled on the side of the road helping no one. Think of the time you put into self-care as your fuel stops. Second is to find a happy medium. A codependent in a relationship, according to Mental Health America, puts the well-being of others before their own, losing touch with their own wants, desires, and sense of self. This imbalance can start as early as childhood and progress into maturity, leading to people-pleasing. Being raised in a setting where affection is conditional, caregivers are emotionally unavailable, or even minor mistakes are severely punished, can lead to a significant dread of disappointing people, Pagoto adds. This is something that we carry with us throughout our lives. Recognizing these habits can help you break free and rebalance the scales so that your life is no longer primarily about others. Third is to recognize that you are not being self-centered. It's not selfish to set limits on how much you're willing to do for others. So, if you're doing too much for your kids, spouse, boss, or even the PTA president, you can be setting yourself up for unhealthy relationship patterns. Serrani explains, I like to think of a boundary as a method of letting others know how a healthy connection works. Boundaries are necessary guidelines for how to act and coexist in a meaningful way. People-pleasing can be reduced by creating this blueprint for how you wish to interact with others. It's no longer healthy for either person engaged if one side gives too much. Fourth is to begin with a modest project. Setting boundaries, even if you're resolved to do so, can be difficult. So, even if it's only an hour a week, start with simple modifications that will free up time for your personal needs. Begin by establishing a list of your 3 most important goals for the year, such as planting a garden, getting a promotion at work, or going on a family vacation, Pagoto advises. Then look at your calendar and see which activities don't get you any closer to any of these objectives. Those are the ones who should be the first to be slaughtered. Cutting out time or money-sucking commitments can help you shed the additional baggage that's preventing you from pursuing objectives and activities that matter to you. Fifth tip is to consider what you can realistically achieve. Another way to think about focusing on the most important obligations is to consider what you can logistically handle. There's only so much time in a day. Ask yourself what is practical, Serrani adds. If you want to be more active in your child's school life, or work more hours at the workplace, or help take care of your elderly mother, ask yourself what is realistic. How much time do you have available? How much time is too much time? Can you assign tasks so that you don't have to do everything yourself? Can you think of another approach to do the task? Asking these questions can help you avoid making rash decisions. Next is to think about your own mental wellness. Resentment can develop when we prioritize others before ourselves, even when we are fatigued and stressed, Pagoto explains. Achieving a healthy balance between being a caregiver and caring for oneself will help you avoid feelings of resentment. You're recharging your batteries if you feel enthusiastic when caring for others. If you don't feel that way, you probably need more me time. Let your feelings lead you, she advises. Next step is to let your thoughts be known. For women, pleasing others is part of those annoying gender stereotypes we've been taught our whole lives, Pagoto explains. We've been socialized to be caregivers, to work together, to suppress our anger, and to prioritize the needs of others over our own. Developing the ability to speak up goes against this conditioning. Although it may be unsettling at first, being more outspoken and articulating your demands is the first step toward not allowing others to walk all over you. If saying no straight makes you uncomfortable, you may always defer the choice by saying things like "I'll have to check my calendar," or "I'll have to get back to you on that," and then declining in a follow-up message. Pay attention to your inner voice. You may find yourself avoiding people who you know will ask you to do something, only to say yes when they corner you. Rather, Sarani advises that you pay heed to your first reaction. Stop, breathe, and sense what you're experiencing when you're asked a question, she advises. If you have any doubts, a twitch in your stomach, or a feeling of dread in your heart, it signifies you don't want to do it. Stop right there. Self-awareness might help you understand why you feel compelled to say yes. Are you terrified, so you say yes? You want to be liked, right? Because you feel compelled to? Sarani inquires. You're more likely to be able to change your behavior if you understand why you behave the way you do. The most important tip is to understand how to say no. It takes some work to say no when you're used to saying yes. Ask any toddler, the word no has a lot of power. Sarani explains. Recognize that saying no is a statement about who you are and what you want right now. It can be said in a pleasant manner, but it must be firm. You don't need a legitimate excuse to skip your child's school dance. Staying at home to take a bubble bath is totally okay. Keep it simple. I'm sorry, but I can't swing it right now. You don't owe anyone an explanation anyhow. If you complain too much, it becomes simpler for others to persuade you to change your mind. Sarani advises, think of saying no as an expression of independence. Allow yourself to let go of harmful connections. People pleasers may be concerned that if they begin to say no, they may lose friends and even loved ones who do not comprehend the new limits they are establishing. This is where you find out whether you're in a toxic relationship, Sarani explains, because a healthy person would acknowledge, understand, and even respect your no. You should reassess this relationship if another person disagrees with you, stops talking to you, or guilts you into saying yes. When you're in a relationship where you're the giver and the other person is the taker, they're not going to appreciate it if you start asserting your own power. However, either they will learn to accept it or you will have to let them go. Recognize when you're being exploited. You'll be able to spot future attempts to entice you into doing things you don't want to do once you've mastered the tools to set healthier limits. Sarani advises using the people-pleasing math. If the amount you do for others and the amount they do for you equals out, you're in excellent shape. Avoid manipulators by paying attention to how they communicate with you. Look for guilty expressions, such as "I was really hoping you'd do this for me," or slightly manipulative expressions, such as "I don't believe I'll be able to go to the post office this week to acquire stamps," she says. The more you can pay attention to how someone speaks to you, the more aware you'll be of their intentions. Then you'll be able to avoid the people-pleasing trap. Face your guilt head-on. Guilt will undoubtedly come in when you begin to demand your own wants. This is entirely natural and acceptable, according to Pagoto, as long as you don't give in. Tolerating the guilt you feel about creating the limit, she explains, is a vital part of achieving effective boundaries. Although sticking to your guns will be difficult at first, the guilt will fade over time. Cutting out certain commitments will allow you to be more present in the things you are doing. The payoff for persevering is a more balanced life in which you are a more involved and energized participant in all of your responsibilities and relationships. That's a win-win situation for everyone. These key points are the first self-assessment steps that lead you to the most resourceful life of abundance and healthy mindset. Mates, let us know what you think about setting healthy boundaries in the comments. Rate the video and do share your story of setting healthy boundaries, and we will feature your comment in our next video. That's all for today. Thank you.